let's see what is multicast delegate in real-time example. In my previous example on what is delegate video, I have already created this example. So let's take the same example and perform multicast delegate. So how we can do that? Just to remove these lines. So as you can see, already I am having one delegate and two methods actually. So I already create an object for this class and already create an object for this delegate also. Now just I going to add multicast delegate. How we can add multicast delegate? Just either by using plus or plus equal to. Now let's use plus equal to new. Let's create new object and pass another method. So I am passing value for this delegate only one time, but both of this method going to be get executed. How it will happen? Let's see. Now let's run and see whether we are getting output as 4 plus 3 is equal to 7 here and 4 minus 3 is equal to 1 here. We are getting the expected output 7 and 1. So now we can confirm both this method are getting executed. So this is one way for performing multicast delegate. Otherwise, instead of plus equal to, we can also use plus. Let's see how that is possible. C1 equal to C1 plus new calc of, okay. Now let's run and see whether we are getting the same expected output. Yes, we are getting the expected output. So this is all about the multicast delegate. Multicast delegate is nothing but a delegate which holds reference of more than one method. As you can see here, we have only one delegate here, but it is having multiple references. We can able to call two of the method using only single delegate. So this is all about the multicast delegate. So now let's see what is generic delegates in real-time example. So in this program, I defined the delegate with integer as a parameters. I defined the type here already. So what is generic delegates? If we don't specify the type and we can make use of any type while creating the object, so that is called generic delegates. So instead of using void here, I'm just going to use t and I'm going to specify t here. Instead of specifying the type directly, I'm just using generic type as t. The benefit of using this generic type is I can able to pass any parameters here. I can able to pass integer, string or anything I can able to pass. Let's see that. So I want to make use this as integer. For that I have to change this method accordingly. Let's change it to integer and let's return something. And while creating object we have to specify the type here. I can able to pass integer here. That's it. So what I'm doing here is instead of specifying my type directly, I'm making use of generic type. So I can able to pass integer, string or any kind of type. Let's run and see whether we are getting the expected output as 7 and 1. Yes, we are getting the expected output as 7 and 1. So as we seen, we can able to pass any kind of parameter type here. Why can't we use string? Now let's try with using string. Let's change this program accordingly. I'm not touching anything on the delegate type. I specify the type already. I'm just changing my method according to it works. This A and B will work as a concatenation, but here we'll be getting error because A minus B will not work. So we have to change that accordingly. So I'm just pausing allow and world. The expected output should be first one should return allow world and second one should return allow minus world. Let's see whether we are getting the expected output. Yes, we are getting the expected output. So this is the benefit of using generic delegate. By using generic delegate, we no need to specify the type. We can able to use just a generic type and we can able to pass any kind of parameter while creating the object. So that's the benefit of using generic delegates. So let's see in real time what is func delegate. So delegate is nothing but a pointer which hold the method address. So first we have to declare our method. Let's declare our method public int add t comma. Okay. As we seen already, C# include two built-in delegates, func and action delegates. This func also present directly inside the system namespace. So we can able to directly use that delegate. Let's see how we can use that. Just use func. Func delegate is nothing but which contains 0 or more input parameters and at least one output parameters. That is all about the func delegate. Let's declare accordingly. So I am using two input parameters and one output parameters. So for accessing this method, we have to create object for this class. Let's create object for the class. And let's use that method d1.add. Let's store this output. So I am passing values 1 and 2. I have to get the output as 3. Let's see whether we are getting the expected output. We should get the output as 3. Yes, we are getting the expected output. This is all about the func delegate. Func delegate is nothing but which is already present inside the system namespace. So we can able to access by using this func keyword. This func delegate can have 0 or more input parameters but at least one output parameters. I am using one output parameter and two input parameter here. Like this we can able to have multiple parameters up to 16 it is allowed. We can able to use like this. Which means like this we can able to create 15 input parameters and one output parameters. Also we can also able to write without specifying any input parameters and only one output parameters. So this is all about the func delegate. Now let's see in real-time example what is action delegate. Action delegate is also similar like function delegate, but the only difference is action delegate won't return any value or the default return type is void. It can also support 0 or more input parameters similar like func delegate, but it won't have any output parameters. It can have only input parameters up to 16 input parameters and minimum 0 input parameters. So that's the difference between func and action delegate. Now let's alter this method according to that action delegate. Let's change this to action and remove one input parameter And let's change this return type to void, and directly let's print the output inside this method and remove this method. Let's pass just to value. Now let's run and see whether we are getting output 3 as expected. Yes, we are getting the output 3 as expected. So this is all about the action delegate. Action delegate is also similar like func delegate, which supports 0 to up to 16 input parameters, but it won't have any output parameters. Also, the default return value for this action delegate is void. It won't return any value. We can use that along with a method which matches the signature having void return type. So this is all about the action delegate. Now let's see what is predicate delegate in real-time example. This predicate delegate also present directly inside the system namespace, and which is also similar like func and action delegate. But the only difference is this predicate delegate will have one input parameters and it will return boolean return type. Either it can return true or false. This predicate delegate is mainly used to check the condition. Mainly used to check whether the passed parameter meets those criteria, or mainly used to check the condition. For that purpose we use this delegate. Now let's see that in real time example. So we have to change this method according to the signature which matches this predicate. So we have to change this to boolean, and we have to change this functionality also. Let's remove one input parameter and let's keep only one input parameter, and let's change this function name to even number, and let's define our functionality according to check whether the number is even number or not. If this is the logic for checking the number is even number or not, percentage 2 equal to 0, then return true, else return false. Now let's change this to predicate. Let's store this output inside the variable is even number. If it's even number, then let's print console.writeLine sum is even number, else the same thing but it's not a even number. Now let's run and see whether we are getting the expected output. We are passing 1 and we should get it's not a even number. Let's see. It's not a even number, but we are getting some error actually. Let's see why that is happening. We are directly storing this into this. We should not print sum here. Int value is equal to, let's pass number here and let's change this accordingly. Now let's see whether we are getting the expected output. Yeah, 1 is not a even number. Now let's try to pass the value to and let's see whether we are getting the expected output as it's a even number. Yeah, we are getting the expected output. So this is all about a predicate delegate. Predicate delegate is similar like func and action delegate, but the only difference is the default return value for this delegate is bool. It will matches according with the signature of the method which is having bool return type, and it's going to return either true or false.